welcome Ambassador Caroline Weijers. Caroline is the ambassador of the Netherlands to the Holy See. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for accepting our interview, but thank you for accepting moderating the tomorrow's webinar on peace, nurturing peace, which is the last webinar of the series Sisters Empowering Women. Ambassador, you have a huge experience as peace builder because the ambassador is a peace builder in a way. Am I right?
We build bridges. We connect people, we connect themes and files. That is our mission.
So, in a way, you contribute to relationships and good relationships. You have been a huge experience as ambassador, but also through other roles and in Africa, in countries where conflict were very often the last word in the relationships. So, through you, how do you feel that you are empowering other women through your mission as ambassador?
If I talk specifically about my present mission, my present function, I think that we as women ambassadors should promote the visibility of women in various areas. I think often the role of women has been underestimated, perhaps even systematically, perhaps with an agenda, hidden or not. And to do justice to the wonderful potential that women have to fulfill a fruitful, a productive, an important role in society, we need to give them visibility. And as a woman ambassador, and I'm not on my own, of course, I have quite a few colleagues here at the Holy See. We should, and we do that actually, we try that, increase this visibility, which means that when one is doing something, organizing something, explaining something, one gives a floor, a podium to the women as well. Often these are sisters, the sisters.
I would like you to come back a little bit to your experience in Africa. From your experience, from your perspective, which is the role of women, layperson and consecrated sisters, to the peace building process?
Yeah. Well, one should never forget that actually a little bit more than half the people in the world are women. When we talk about the Roman Catholic religious, I think more than 2/3 worldwide are women. So if one only looks at it from the perspective of statistics, of numbers, it makes sense to give them an important role. What is always very sad, and actually it is a subject I discussed in a small group last night, is to see how conflict situations may be fueled by certain people in positions of power. And often and traditionally, these have been men. And the role of women has been much more to mitigate conflict, to build bridges as well, to care for families, to be inspired by, and now I quote the Holy Father, by bellezza and tenerezza. And these elements, which of course play a role in anybody's life, but they come very strongly back in the women one is working with. I've seen in Africa, I worked in various parts of Africa, Southern Africa, West Africa, North Africa. There's still a lot of Africa for me to discover, and I hope that time will come as well. But I've seen there how women are the ones who carry a lot of the burdens, literally. I mean, the water, the wood, the children, the families emotionally and let's say practically and organizationally. And their role in society is enormous, but has not always received the recognition that it deserves. And then actually I come back to the visibility as well. One needs to promote this visibility of their tasks, of their responsibilities, of their potential. And there have been many projects where I've seen that in practice, in action, how women cared for the most vulnerable, how they were doing practical things to promote peace and stability. Because that is the issue, of course. It's easy enough to talk about things, but doing things is yet another thing. And I've seen a lot of these women who were forced by circumstances to just act, to do things.
I guess that through your job to the OLC, you have been in contact with many religious sisters throughout the years. What struck you most of these sisters? What you find more interesting to share about religious sisters?
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about my job is that you meet so many different people from different walks of life, which means you meet all these individuals with all their talents and sometimes challenges. And when I talk about the sisters I've met over the past years here in Rome and elsewhere, I can see that diversity as well. They're all characters and they all have their qualities and potential, but there's something they share, which is a vocation to do the right things, which is the mission they want to perform. So what I see is diversity, but I also see a joint cause. And something they all share is that they're smart, they're good, they're motivated. Many of them speak several languages, which means they can communicate very easily. And they are, now I'm generalizing, but forgive me at this moment, they're nice people. I enjoy their company. I enjoy their stories, their experiences. And I think they can really be an example for others as well.
I smile because, I've been working with religious life for many years and I share your opinion actually and your feelings. I would like you to share with us if you have a story during these years as ambassador to the Holy See, where and when you clearly perceived that you were building bridges. I don't know if you have a story in your mind that you can share with us. It might be a concrete person, concrete people.
Yeah. In my job, of course, you establish contacts and you promote contacts between others, but sometimes you have to be terribly discreet as well, so as to be effective and not do something that's counterproductive. So if you allow me, I will answer a bit in a general way. But what is really good is when you can bring people together who have different opinions, completely different opinions on certain issues. And for instance, when we talk about the moral, ethical files, where there can be different opinions amongst Catholics, between Catholics and others, between believers and non-believers, between people of various nationalities and backgrounds. But what I enjoy here is bringing people together and seeing how people can have a conversation. It is not a conflict, it is not even a discussion in an aggressive way, but it is a conversation. And I think we should have much more conversations. We should really have a dialogue. And there I see a big role for the sisters again.
Listening to you, immediately I think to Pope Francis and the last letter Fratelli Tutti, which is based a lot on the social friendship and the dialogue, which is not just a way to deal with conflict, is a way of being the dialogue. So what do you appreciate most of Pope Francis? What struck you most about his documents or his magisterium, his way of being?
Well, when you talk about the encyclicals, I think that both Laudato Si and Fratelli Tutti, specifically these two, have been very influential. And they have given a lot of visibility to certain aspects of the thinking, the doctrine of Pope Francis and the Church. Laudato Si, if you forgive me the frivolous comparison, has become sort of a Bible for the environmental movement worldwide, whether people are religious or not. It is a very important and inspiring document. Fratelli Tutti covers so many areas. It is an extremely rich document that it can provide food for thought for everybody. Again, for Catholics, for non-religious, for everybody, for academics. And I think that richness of thinking is very important. There's another thing, and I'm afraid it's a bit my hobby horse, is that Pope Francis has been very strong on giving more visibility to women in the church. And he has done that in various ways, not just promoting women in certain positions, which have always been excellent choices, I think, but in let's say in a rather systematic way, by giving them recognition, indicating how important their role is in the church. And at the end of the day, what all of us want, what I like, what I think you like, Patricia, what the sisters I meet like, what people in the street like, is you want to be seen and you want to be heard. And individuals or groups who are neglected in that sense, who feel marginalized, will be unhappy, but also they may be, let's say, seduced to certain forms of behavior that are not good for them and that are not good for society. So I think giving people a voice, listening to them is very important. And again, of course, I express myself in a slightly inadequate way, but the Holy Father has been very eloquent on that listening is extremely important.
I like a lot the expression that you have used, food for thoughts, about these documents. I think this is really true, but at the same time, it's also a pastoral, a way to learn how to be tender and to be loving people, in this world. So each other, with ourselves, with each other, but also with the cosmos. So thank you. I have just a last question. You are a woman in the midst of a male world, in a way. Have you ever experienced a sort of exclusion or marginalization in your diplomatic world?
I have to be honest. Of course, I occasionally have, but I must immediately add, in certain environments, I speak very frankly now, in certain environments where my colleagues or friends would say, well, I'm sure it was difficult, or I'm sure they didn't take you seriously, and you had to overcome all sorts of obstacles. And then, for instance, they were talking about me working in Muslim countries and also working here at the Holy See. And then I can only honestly answer, no, that is not the case, because at that moment, I am not necessarily me, but I am my function as well. I represent something. I am here for king and country, as we say. I'm here to represent my country, my people, and my counterparts, who often become sparring partners on certain files, recognize that, they appreciate that, and therefore I'm treated properly. The challenge, of course, is as an ambassador to try to gain some respect on a personal basis as well over the years in your work. But I am what I stand for, and what I stand for is the people and the government of the Netherlands and their values. And those are the ones I am trying to express as well in word and in action.
Thank you, Ambassador Weavers. I just want to underline that you learned well from the sisters, because one of the characteristics of religious history is to be and to do these two dimensions very integrated and very together. So thank you very much for your testimony, and we will wait for you tomorrow during the webinar of the series Sisters Empowering Women. And the title tomorrow will be Nurturing Peace, Social Friendship, and Dialogue. So all the words that you shared through your reflection. Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure.